always been true.
One God, one human family, one world. That's all that I wanna see. One love. We know it's the reality. We gotta get together, the highest unity. We gotta get together, the highest unity. One God, one human family, one world. That's all that I wanna see. One love. We know it's the reality. Gotta get together, the highest unity. We gotta get together, the highest unity.
It's more than just an end to war. God's kingdom here on earth is what we're striving for. The strife that causes war is a dread disease. Takes more to cure than just a nuclear freeze. Brothers and sisters, dads and moms, tell the leaders stop dropping bombs. The world's at war. What can we do? It's bleeding and we're pleading for something new.
Okay, we have individuals on the parking here.
Actualize what's always been true.
I see a lot of familiar faces. Everyone, round of applause for coming out tonight. Today. Thank you up there. And really very happy to have Felicia Pete from WKNO, Shoshana Sanker, and our special guest, Daryl Davis. I'm Jason Kaplan. This is the Bridge Institute and the Fair for All. It's the Foundation Against Intolerance and Racism. And a couple of asks today is that you pick up a card, which I think you did coming in. And we'll explain that in a moment. And the other thing is there's a pro-human pledge on the fairforall.org website, fairforall.org, if you could take a look at that. And without further ado, we're going to hear from Daryl Davis. We're going to have a demonstration of the Universal Language Room, and then a concert from our group, Naqshon's Leap. And we really, really appreciate everyone coming, and thank you very much.
Can y'all hear me? Yes. Okay, good. Yay.
Are we putting Daryl in the middle?
All right. I'm in trouble now. Right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You're good. Oh, yeah, you're in trouble. Because you never know what we might ask you. Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm just going to share a little information about Daryl, Mr. Davis. Daryl is an international recording artist. He's an author, an actor, and lead of the Daryl Davis Band. Yeah, so we'll hear from that his expertise a little bit later on in the Naqshon's Leap Band. Can't wait for that as well. He's considered to be one of the greatest blues, boogie-woogie, and rock and roll pianists of all time, having played with the legendary blues band, formerly known as the Muddy Waters Band, and Chuck Berry. As a race relations expert, Daryl has received acclaim for his book, Clandestine Relationships, and documentary, Accidental Courtesy.
A little bit more, because Daryl does all these amazing things. He's also the recipient of numerous awards, including the Elliott Black Award, the MLK Award, and the Bridge Builder Award, among others, filled with exciting encounters and sometimes amusing anecdotes. Daryl's impassioned lectures empower audience members to confront their own prejudices and overcome their fears. Using open dialogue, part of Daryl's extraordinary work has involved interviewing hundreds of KKK members and other white supremacists and influencing them to renounce their racist ideology and leave hate groups, which is pretty powerful and impactful. So before we get into all that heavy, intense work, which is really the biggest reason you're here right now, and you're going to jam a little bit later on, so we want to talk a little bit about your musical experience before we get into the heavier stuff. So share with us, I guess, how you got started in music and where it's taken you along the way.
Okay, sure. Well, originally, I was torn between two vocations as a child. I liked computers, which took up more space than this whole room here at the time when I was a kid. I knew there was money to be had. I knew they would get smaller like my cell phone, but I never dreamed, they would become, that tiny.
Yeah.
And the other vocation was I wanted to be an espionage agent. James Bond was my hero. And so each vocation was pulling at me in opposite directions with equal force, so I couldn't move in either direction. And I made a left turn somewhere, and I went and saw Elvis Presley, and I saw Chuck Berry, and that changed my whole life. I said, that's what I want to do. Because those two people had made millions upon millions of people all over the world happy with their music. People that they would never meet, that they would never see, but they had touched them through the radio, through their records, through concerts, TV appearances, etc. I thought, that's pretty powerful to be able to affect somebody that way in a positive direction when you don't even know them. So I chose to become a musician. I went to Howard University in Washington, D.C., where I earned my bachelor degree of music in jazz performance. And when I graduated, I started playing rock and roll and blues and country and all kinds of different genres. I had the opportunity to work with Chuck Berry, the man who created rock and roll, for 32 years. Not every gig, but many gigs. And many of the other artists, Jerry Lee Lewis, and many other artists from that era.
It's amazing.
I know.
We could just have the whole show just be about that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was just about to say. That's amazing. Those are amazing accomplishments all in and of themselves. So let's switch to the fair and that organization and its critical efforts. Remind us about FAIR's pro-human vision and mission and how you began working with that organization.
Sure. One of the founders of FAIR, Brian Bartning, had been referred to me by somebody else, and Brian contacted me, and we had a long conversation over the phone, and what he envisioned was the same thing that I envisioned, treating everybody, as equals. And I've been around the world. I grew up with our parents in the U.S. Foreign Service. So I was an American Embassy kid. I lived in different countries every 2 years. I began traveling around the world at the age of 3 in 1961. So you're trying to figure out how old I am. I'm 65. All right. So, born in 58. So every 2 years I was in a different country. And my first introduction to school was abroad. Kindergarten, first grade, third grade, fifth grade, seventh grade. And in between, I'd come home back here to the States, my own country, and go to school. But when I was in school overseas, my classrooms were filled with kids from Nigeria, Japan, Russia, France, Germany, Italy, you name it. If they had an embassy in that country where we were assigned, all of their kids went to the same school. So that being my first exposure to school, it became what my baseline was for school. But every 2 years, when I would come back home, here to my own country, I would either be in all black schools or black and white schools, meaning the still segregated or the newly integrated. And there was not the amount of diversity that I had in the classroom overseas, which kind of, didn't quite set right with me. And one time when I was in 10th grade, when I was 10 years old in 4th grade, I was one of 2 black kids in the entire school, myself in 4th grade and a little girl in 2nd grade. And this was in a town called Belmont, Massachusetts, which is a suburb of Boston. And right next door to Belmont are the towns of Lexington and Concord, Massachusetts. So me being in 4th grade, only black boy in school, there was a little black girl in 2nd grade. So consequently, all of my friends were white 4th and 5th graders. Several of my male friends were members of the Cub Scouts, and they invited me to join. So I joined the Cub Scouts. Well, up there in Massachusetts, they have something called Patriot Day, where they have a big parade with the Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, Brownies, Cub Scouts, 4-H Club, and different organizations where you march from Lexington to Concord to commemorate the ride of Paul Revere. So I had joined the Cub Scouts, only black scout in the area, and I was participating in this parade, only black person anywhere in the parade. The streets were blocked off, sidewalks lined with nothing but white people waving and cheering and smiling and yelling the British are coming and all that kind of thing, until we got to a certain point in this parade route when suddenly I'm getting hit with bottles and soda pop cans and just small debris from the street, but just a small group of white spectators off to my right on the sidewalk. As I recall it, it was a couple kids, maybe a year or 2 older than me, and probably their parents, because there were a couple of adults there as well, throwing things. I did not know them, but my first thought was, oh, those people over there, they don't like the Scouts. That's how naive I was, because I'd never experienced anything like that. I'm trying to figure out, what would cause him to do this, right? Well, my den mother and my cub master and my troop leader all came running back and huddled over me with their bodies and quickly escorted me out of the danger. And then I realized I'm the only scout getting this special protection. So now I'm wondering, what did I do to cause them to do this, right? And I kept asking them, why are they doing this? All they would do is kind of shush me and rush me along, tell me to keep moving, everything will be okay. So they never answered my question. At the end of the day, when I got home, my mom and dad, who were not at the parade, were cleaning me up, putting Band-Aids on me, and asking me, how did you trip and fall down and get all scraped up? I told them, I didn't fall down. I told them exactly what had happened. And for the first time in my life, my mom and dad sat me down and explained to me what racism was. Believe it or not, at the age of 10, I had never heard the word racism. It did not exist in my world. I was around people from all over the world. And when they were telling me that this was happening for no other reason than the color of my skin, my 10-year-old brain could not process that, because I knew people of every shade, every color, you name it. And the kids, the boys in my Cub Scout troop, did not look any different from the people throwing things, and they didn't behave like that. Overseas, my little French or German or Swedish or Danish or Australian friends didn't do that. So my parents were wrong. It had nothing to do with the color of my skin. Well, I quickly learned different. And that caused me to come up with a question at the age of 10, which was, how can you hate me when you don't even know me? So that fall, we went back overseas, and I was back what I call normalcy. I was around people from all over the world. Nobody, did all those kinds of things. But now, when you take my childhood travels with my parents, and now as an adult professional musician and lecturer, I travel around the world again. I've played in all 50 states, and when you combine those two sets of travels, adult with child, I've been in 62 countries on 6 continents. What does that mean, other than I have a bunch of frequent flyer miles and hotel points, right? It means that I have been exposed to a variety of cultures, colors, religions, ideologies, all that kind of thing. And that has helped shape who I have become. In fact, my very favorite quote of all time is by Mark Twain. It's called the Travel Quote. And Mark Twain said it, "Travel is fatal to prejudice, bigotry, and narrow-mindedness, and many of our people need it sorely on these accounts. Broad, wholesome, charitable views of men and things cannot be acquired by vegetating in one little corner of the earth all one's lifetime." And that is so true. And one thing that I've noticed in all my travels, no matter how far I go from our own country, the United States, whether it's right next door to Canada or right next door to Mexico or halfway around the globe, no matter how different the people may be who I encounter, perhaps they don't look like me or speak my language or worship as I do, I always conclude one thing, that we all are human beings. And as such, every human being in the world wants these 5 core values in their lives. Everyone wants to be loved. We all want to be respected. We all want to be heard. We all want to be treated fairly and truthfully. And we all want the same things for our family as anybody else wants for their family. And if we can learn to apply those 5 core values, or any of those 5 values, when we find ourselves in an adversarial situation or a society or culture in which we are unfamiliar or uncomfortable, I will guarantee you that your navigation of that situation, that culture, that society, will be much more positive and much more smooth. And that is how I have affected people who basically hate me. When I have these conversations, the most powerful tool, the most powerful weapon against racism, anti-Semitism, these kinds of things, is the least expensive. It's free, but yet it remains the most underused. It's called conversation. I'm a firm believer that a missed opportunity for dialogue is a missed opportunity for conflict resolution. And because I've applied these values, I've been doing this now for 41 years, okay? And because I've applied these values, I have a ton of Ku Klux Klan robes and hoods and swastika flags and you name it, I've got it. I keep it stored away from my house. I keep some in my house because I take them and display them on some of the lectures I give, but I have a whole storage room full of that stuff that I've collected over the last 40 years by people who were active members, active practitioners of this ideology, but they changed due to those conversations. And that is why I joined FAIR, the Foundation Against Intolerance and Racism, where we, when Bayam called me to interview me and things, he said, we are an anti-racist organization, et cetera, et cetera. I said, well, I understand what you're saying, but I would prefer to use another word other than anti-racist. Unless you're using the word racist as an adjective to describe a noun. Because, I don't want to be anti-racist, the person. I want to be anti-racism, the ideology. Because that person was not born with that ideology. That person learned that ideology, that ism. And what can be learned can be unlearned. So let's not be anti the person, let's be anti the ism or the ideology and help educate that human being. So that's why I joined FAIR.
That actually leads perfectly into where we're going. So let's get a little bit deeper.
Okay.
Because next up, we really wanted you to explain more about the difference between anti-racism and anti-racist. Because on the website it says we should be anti-racism, not anti-racist, when we refer to the person as opposed to a state of being. So go a little bit more into the difference.
So we talk about what, a lot of people talk about what they're against. But very few people say what they're for. So, yes, we are against racism, the ideology, the ism, but not the person, the ist, unless the ist is used as an adjective, okay? Like that we are anti-racist, as an adjective, as opposed to a person. So rather than say anti-racist, we say pro-human, because anti-racist is telling you what you're against. So let's talk about what we're for and what we strive to be. So we're pro-human.
Right, so using that approach then, you've also had experience in realizing that it's easier, maybe easier isn't the right word, the better approach is to, instead of changing someone's reality, because that's not how you can get to the end result that you're looking to achieve, but really it's about change can happen by offering better perceptions.
Exactly.
So can you share with us some examples about that?
Absolutely. So you all have heard the saying, and it's true, one's perception is one's reality. Whatever somebody perceives becomes their reality. Whether it's real or not, it's their reality. It's what's real to them. And you cannot change somebody else's reality. They have to change it themselves. If you attempt to change somebody's reality, they take it as a personal affront. You're telling them what they believe is not real. So it's an insult, it's an affront, and they're going to defend, they're going to push back. All right? So let me give you an example. Let's say you have a 7 or 8 year old brother, and he goes to a magic show with his buddies. And he comes home and tells you, you're not going to believe this. This magician on stage, he asked for a female volunteer, and 50 women raised their hand. And he picked one out of the audience, brought her up on stage, and he had her climb into this long box with a hole at that end and a hole at this end. He had her put her feet out the hole at that end and put her head out the hole at this end, and then he closed the lid. And they took a chainsaw and went right through the middle of the box, right down through the bottom. He cut her in half, and then he told her to wiggle her feet, and she did. And you said, now listen, it didn't really happen like that. Yes, it did. I was there. You weren't even there. I saw with my own eyes. You weren't even there. You didn't see it. You have attacked his reality. He knows what he saw. He saw the man put the woman in the box, stretch her out, and cut the box in half. And the chainsaw came out the bottom of the box, and she wiggled her feet. He knows what he saw. How dare you tell him that he didn't see that when you weren't even there? So you have attacked his reality, and now he's going to fight back, right? And then to even prove it further to you, he tells you that after the man cut the woman in half, he separated the two halves of the box. The half with the feet sticking out, he put it over there on stage right, and the half with the head over here on stage left. And then he walked over there and talked to the woman's head, and she talked back. And then he brought the two halves back together. He did some abracadabra incantation over the box, opened the lid, and the woman climbed out full form. No blood. She was cut in half and put back together. And you said, now listen, that is an illusion. No, it's not. I'm telling you, you weren't there. I saw it. You've attacked him again. Now he's really getting mad. So you don't attack somebody's reality. They believe what they believe, all right? What you do is, one's perception is one's reality. His perception is that this man cut the woman in half and put her back together. So that becomes his reality. What you do is you offer him a better perception, or better perceptions, plural. And if he resonates with one of those perceptions, then that will become his reality, because his perception becomes his reality. So what you might say is, don't attack the reality. What you might say is, listen, I understand what you're saying, but do you think it's possible that perhaps, just maybe, that when the man asked for 50 women and they all raised, for one woman and 50 women raised their hand and he picked one out of the audience, do you think that maybe it's possible that she works for him? She knows the trick. He plants her in the audience everywhere he goes around the country, always in the same seat, so you can always spot her in the theater, whatever theater he's in. And she comes up on stage, she climbs into this box, and there's a pair of mannequin legs laying on the floor of the box that are wearing the same stockings and same shoes that she has on. She picks up those poles and shoves them out the hole, and she brings her own knees up under her chest. So her whole body is on that half of the box. So when the man takes the saw and goes through it, he doesn't even touch her. And when he says, wiggle your feet, she just shakes those poles. The feet wiggle. But now, when he separates those two halves, and the feet are over there, obviously they can't move anymore. So he has to distract your eyes from watching those feet. So he walks over here and talks to the head, because your eyes are going to follow him, right? And so of course the head's going to talk back. Her whole body is there. Then he brings the two halves back together, does his little stuff, opens the lid, and what she does is she pulls those legs back and leaves them in the box, and she climbs out, full form. And then your little brother says, that might be the only way that could work. So you've offered him a better perception, and he has resonated with it and come to that conclusion, and now he has changed his own reality. So that's number one. Even if you know something is not real, but somebody else believes it is, don't attack their reality. Give them a better perception. And if they resonate with it, they will change their own reality.
Wow. I think it was my turn to ask a question earlier, but I was so deep in thought and so engaged.
I'm sorry if I ruined that trick for
I was
anybody.
going to say, no, well, the kids are like, what?
I know, right? Now
I will say this. I will say this. I did see David Copperfield make an elephant disappear off the stage, and he did it. How he did it, I don't know.
And you can
but he
figure
did
that
it.
one out.
I can't figure that one out.
Oh my goodness. Mr. Davis.
Call me Daryl, please.
Daryl, okay, I can do that. I hear what you're saying, and I'm absorbing all of this information that you're throwing out there, but I also look at the reality that so many people are afraid to have these conversations, especially with people who are doing exactly what you're saying, attacking their ideologies, attacking what they've learned, especially if they've learned it through childhood. So I think I speak for most here when I say that we're fascinated with the direct involvement and open dialogue with KKK members, white supremacists, and I would just be interested in knowing, how do you even begin those conversations? How do you how do you even get to that point? Where do you start?
Start at the beginning. Focus on things that people have in common. Okay, listen, a missed opportunity for dialogue is a missed opportunity for conflict resolution, all right? Mm-hmm. If you spend five minutes with your worst enemy, you will find something in common. You start off this far apart, right? A black man and a clan leader, a grand dragon or imperial wizard, right? Sitting at a table. You're that far apart, right? but you spend 5 minutes conversing with that individual, you will find something in common, and that gap comes a little closer in. You talk for another 5-10 minutes, you have found more in common, and it closes in some more. When you get at this point, whether you like it or not, you are having a relationship with that individual. It's a cordial relationship. You know, you might not be going to his kid's birthday party or, you know, going to dinner with him, whatever. You know, that comes later. But you're having a relationship. You keep on talking, you find more. When you get to this point, you're in a friendship, all right? You may not agree with everything he says or vice versa, but you're being friendly with one another. When you get to this point, you have found so much in common that the trivial things you have in contrast, such as skin color, whether you go to a church, a synagogue, a mosque, or a temple, begin to matter less and less. And then they begin wondering, this guy's really no different than I am. Why did I hate him? I don't really have a reason. I've seen that happen time and time again. And when you Google my name in the media or whatever, there's always some kind of sensational headline, you know, black musician converts X number of white supremacists or KKK members, etc. No, I did not convert anybody, not even one. I am the impetus for over 200 to renounce that ideology and convert themselves by applying those 5 core values of allowing them to be heard, showing them that respect, to listen to them. Understand something when I say respect. I'm not a racist. I'm not a separatist. I'm not a supremacist, a nationalist, none of those things. I don't respect what they say because I don't believe in what they say. I respect their right to say it. And if you want somebody to listen to you, you have to remember everybody wants to be heard. You have to listen to them as well, all right? And then there's a good chance they will reciprocate. And this works for any kind of controversial topic. I mean, right now we're talking about racism, but let's take racism off the table for a second. It could be abortion, it could be nuclear weapons, it could be global warming, it could be the last presidential election, the upcoming presidential election, the war between Russia and Ukraine, or the war in the Middle East. These are all hot topics, right? You're on one side, somebody else on the other side. Apply those 5 core values, and you will have a civil dialogue. Listen, let me tell you something. If I, as a black man, can walk into a neo-Nazi rally or a KKK rally and end up having some friends out of that rally, not that particular moment, it takes a little bit of time, all right, who give me their swastika flags and their KKK robes and hoods and things like that because they no longer believe in what it stands for. If I can talk to those people at that extreme, I don't understand people who tell me, I'm not going to Thanksgiving dinner with my family because my sister voted for so-and-so and I voted for this one, and we just can't talk. Let me tell you something. No matter who becomes president, that person is only going to be in office for a minimum of 4 years, a maximum of 8 years. How long have you been with your family? Decades? And you're going to throw away a decades-long relationship over somebody who's only going to be around 4 to 8 years? That doesn't make sense. You can't talk to your own family, your co-workers, your friends at school, or your acquaintances. If I can go into a Klan rally and apply those 5 principles at that extreme, imagine what you can do at this extreme. It works.
So if you've been doing this for 41 years, I'd imagine that you have seen and heard it all when you
Pretty
talk
much.
to these Klansmen and the other people. Is there anything that still shocks you or surprises you when you have these conversations with people like that?
Well, you know, I mean, I've learned a lot too. Understand something, I never set out to get somebody to change their mind. That was never my intention. As I told you, when I had that incident happen with me at the age of 10, people throwing things at me, and that question that I formed, how can you hate me when you don't even know me? I've been looking for the answer to that question. So I began buying books on black supremacy, white supremacy, anti-Semitism, the KKK here, the Nazis in Germany, the neo-Nazis over here, trying to understand that ideology. Where does it come from? Where is it going? How can it be addressed? And my books all talked about it, but they didn't answer the question. And when I would ask people, how can somebody hate somebody just because they're a different religion or a different color? Oh, Daryl, that's just the way it is. Some people are just like that. Well, that's not an answer. I need a reason. And so who better to ask that question than to ask somebody who would join an organization that goes so far as to hate people that don't look like them and who don't believe as they believe. So I began seeking out KKK members. And one fell right into my lap. A while back, country music, which had gone kind of dormant. It fell off the top 40. It's never gone away. It's like the blues. It never goes away. It's always there. It may not be mainstream. But country music had fallen off the mainstream charts. And then this movie came out with John Travolta called Urban Cowboy. It had that mechanical bull and all that line dancing and stuff. Country music had a resurgence. All the clubs that were playing top 40 and disco and whatever else switched their format to country. So as a working musician, if you want to play full time in the business, you play what people want. I joined a country band. And believe it or not, country music and the blues are kissing cousins. Same 3 chords, okay? I'm serious. It's society that separates us, not the music, all right? A C chord in country is the same as a C chord in the blues, all right? So, 1, 4, and 5. Anyway, for those musicians out there. So, I joined this country band. The country band was already established in the state of Maryland, which is where I live now. And they played all over the place. I was the only black guy in the band, and usually the only black guy where we would play. Well, there was a place in a town called Frederick, Maryland, which is about an hour and 20 minutes north of Washington, D.C., the nation's capital. And I live about 15 minutes from Washington, D.C. Now, this place in Frederick was called the Silver Dollar Lounge. The Silver Dollar Lounge had a reputation of being an all-white lounge. Black people were not welcome. Now, there were no signs that said, whites only, no black people, nothing like that. You've seen the pictures, colored water fountain, whites only restaurant or whatever. Nothing like that. But it had that unspoken reputation. And when you go somewhere where you're not welcome and alcohol is being served, it's not always a good combination. So I knew about the Silver Dollar Lounge. I'd never been in there. Well, now here the band had played there before. Now they're playing there again, and now I'm in the band. So here I am in the Silver Dollar Lounge. Only black guy in the place. We had just finished our first set of music. And we're taking a break, and I'm following the band to the band table. And I feel somebody from behind come up and put their arm across my shoulder. Now, I don't know anybody in this joint, right? So I'm turning around trying to see who's touching me. And it was a white gentleman, I would say 15 to 18 years older than me. Big smile on his face. And he says, "Man, I sure love your all's music." I said, "Thank you," and I shook his hand. And he points at the stage and says, "I've seen this here band before, but I ain't never seen you before. Where'd you come from?" And I explained, "Well, yeah, you probably did see them before. They told me they had played here before. But I just joined the band a couple months ago. It's my first time here." He goes, "Man, I sure love your piano playing. This is the first time I ever heard a black man play piano like Jerry Lee Lewis." And I was not offended by the statement, but I was rather shocked that given the fact that this guy was at least a decade and a half older than me, that he did not know the black origin of Jerry Lee Lewis's piano style. So I proceeded to tell him that Jerry Lee and myself, we got that style from the same source, from black, blues, and boogie-woogie piano playing. That's where that rock and roll, rockabilly style evolved. "Oh, no, I ain't never heard no black man play like that except for you." And so I'm thinking, okay, well, the dude never heard Little Richard or Fats Domino, that same boogie style. And he did not believe me. I said, "Look, man, I know Jerry Lee Lewis. Jerry Lee Lewis is a very good friend of mine. I've done many shows with him. He's told me himself his influences and this, that, and the other." He didn't believe that either. But he was fascinated with me and wanted me to go back to his table and let him buy me a drink. So I don't drink. I don't drink alcohol. So I went back to his table. I let him buy me a cranberry juice. He paid the waitress. I can't drink cranberry juice anymore, but back then I could. Anyway, so He paid the waitress, took his glass, and he clinked my glass and cheered me, and then he made a proclamation. He said, you know, this is the first time I ever sat down and had a drink with a black man. Now I'm completely baffled. Like, at that point in my life, I sat down with thousands, tens of thousands of people of different colors and had a meal, a beverage, a conversation. How is it that this guy, who was 15 to 18 years older than me, had never sat down with a black guy before? You know, and I know for a fact that there are black people in Frederick, Maryland, because I've seen them. So how is it that he somehow missed them? So innocently, I asked him, I said, why? Because, you know, I'm naive at this point. And he didn't answer me. He stared at the tabletop. And I asked him again. His buddy sitting next to him said, tell him, tell him, tell him. I said, tell me. And now I'm completely mystified. And he says, I'm a member of the Ku Klux Klan. Well, I burst out laughing at him. Because now I didn't believe him, right? And in my mind, I'm trying to justify why this guy would say something like that. I'm thinking, okay, maybe he thought I was, you know, pulling his leg about Jerry Lee, and so he's gonna pull my leg about the Klan or something. And while I'm laughing, along with this joke, he goes inside his pocket, pulls out his wallet, flips through it, and handed me his Klan membership card. I looked at this thing, whoa. I recognized the Ku Klux Klan insignia, which is a red circle with a white cross and a red blood drop in the center. And I stopped laughing. This thing was for real, you know, so it wasn't funny anymore. Now I'm wondering, why am I sitting at this table with this Klansman? I handed him back his card, and we talked about the Klan and some other things for a little bit. And he gave me his phone number, and he wanted me to call him anytime I was to return to the Silver Dollar Lounge with this band, because he wanted to bring his friends, you know, right? Klansmen and Klanswomen, to see, as he put it, the black guy who plays like Jerry Lee. I don't know if he called me a black guy or not to his friends. That's how he explained it to me. And so I told him I'd give him a call. We were on a rotation every 6 weeks, different bands. So I called him on a Wednesday or Thursday and said, hey man, you know, we're gonna be down at the Silver Dollar, come on out. He'd come down Friday and Saturday. He'd bring Klansmen and Klanswomen. You know, not in their robes and hoods, but in, you know, regular clothes. And they would gather around the stage and watch me play with the band. They'd get out on the dance floor and dance to our music. And on the breaks, I would, you know, manage my way over to his table, say hello, thank him for coming. I would meet some of those other Klan people. A couple of them would get up when they saw me coming and move to the other side of the room. So the message implied was, you know, we don't want to shake your hand or touch you or talk to you. We just want to look at you, you know, which was fine by me. But I talked with the other ones, you know, who hung around. And this went on till the end of that year when I quit that band and I went back to playing rock and roll and blues and R&B and whatever else was going on. And it dawned on me a few years later, Daryl, you blew it. The answer to your question that has been plaguing you since age 10, how can you hate me when you don't even know me, it fell right into your lap. Get back in contact with that Klansman. Because if anybody can answer the question, how can they hate you when they don't even know you? It should be the Klan, because they don't know me, why they hate me, right? So I decided I would write a book on the Klan. I would travel. All the books written on the Klan were by white authors. There have been no books written on the Klan by a black author. There have been 2 books written by black authors that dealt with the Klan, but each author dealt with how he escaped a lynching, one in the 1930s and one in the 1940s, but not from the perspective of sitting down face to face, interviewing their prospective lynchers, right? So that's what I wanted to do. So I got back in touch with that guy, and I got him to fix me up with the head of the Klan from Maryland. And he didn't want to do it. He was afraid for my safety and his own safety. But I convinced him to do it, and he gave me the Klan leader's name and number. Well, I knew the name. Gave me the number and address on the condition that I not tell the leader where I got it. I said, okay. So that's how that started, and my book became the first book written by a black author on the Ku Klux Klan from the perspective of sitting down face to face and interviewing them. And today I own that man's robe and hood. When I met him, he was a Grand Dragon. Grand Dragon means state leader, what you and I would call a governor. Anybody on the grand level means they're on the state level. A Grand Dragon is like a governor. A Grand Caliph is like a lieutenant governor. And then what do we call our national leader who oversees all the states? we call him the president. They call that individual the imperial wizard. Anybody on the imperial level is a national officer, wizard being the top, and imperial caliph would be like a vice president. And then you have, the subgroups, secretary, treasurer, et cetera, et cetera. A county leader is known as a great titan. Anybody prefixed with the word great means they're on the county level. Within the county, you have districts, what they call claverns. We would call a district leader a mayor, a councilman, an alderman, selectman. They call that person the exalted cyclops. And below the exalted cyclops are just rank and file, plain white-robed clansmen and clanswomen. So when I met this guy, he was a grand dragon. He went on to become an imperial wizard and oversaw 13 states. And then he went on to become a very good friend of mine and shut down his organization in those 13 states. He didn't quit and hand it off to the second in command. He shut it down. Thank you all.
I think we have one last question that we've just got to know the answer to, because I don't know anybody that's doing what you've done. I would consider it more of a calling or a mission. So how do you feel about knowing that you have made such a positive change in our world?
I feel that anybody and everybody can do this. I mean, as I told you, I majored in music. I am not a sociologist. I'm not a psychologist. I'm just a rock and roll piano player. And if I can sit down with people like that and have these conversations and get those kinds of results, anybody can do it. I've shared with you the tools, how to go about it, all right? And you can achieve that. Not everybody's going to change. There will be people on all sides, all colors, who will go to their grave being hateful, violent, and racist. But if somebody is willing, even if they have that mentality, is willing to sit down and talk with you and explain to you why they feel that way about you, there's an opportunity to plant a seed. But you must come back and water that seed, nourish it. Because change comes incrementally, not just like, we're like flipping on and off a light switch. So have patience, apply those 5 core values with any controversy you have, not just race, anything. Let me just say one last thing. It bothers me a great deal as an American that we call ourselves the greatest nation on the face of this planet. Now, don't get me wrong, I love my country. I'm patriotic, all right? But I have a problem with that statement. I would say that perhaps we are the greatest technologically. After all, we, Americans, built the technology to put a man on the moon, all right? Nobody else did that before us. And while astronaut Neil Armstrong was up there on the moon walking around talking about one small step for man and one giant leap for mankind, we could talk to him live, all the way from Earth to the moon, via satellite radio phone. We invented that technology. Everybody in here has email. Everybody in here has a cell phone. Type a few words, type a few numbers, hit send. You're talking to people, right next door in Kentucky, across the country in California, around the world in Europe, Asia, Australia, wherever you want to talk, Africa, all right? We built that technology. How is it that we, as Americans, can talk to people all the way around this planet, as far away as the moon, but yet so many of us have difficulty talking to the person who lives right next door because he or she is a different color, a different religion, a different persuasion, a different whatever. It seems to me that before we can call ourselves the greatest, perhaps our ideology needs to catch up to our technology. And once we get them both up there, then we can truly brag about how great we are. Because folks, we are living in the 21st century. This stuff does not belong in the 21st century, let alone any century really, but certainly not the 21st, all right? Why are we living in space age times and still talking and behaving with Stone Age minds? Thank you.
This has been an honor for me.
it's eye-opening. I feel like we could do this for hours, but we also want to hear you guys jam and hear
Yes.
Universal Language Room. So, Daryl, you're going to join us again, right? For more?
Absolutely. And I
Thank
would
you.
much rather be on a stage playing music and seeing people smiling and dancing than be at all these Klan rallies that I've been to, seeing people march around and burning cross, yelling white power and things like that.
Yeah.
But that's why I do that.
All right.
We'll transition real quick.
Yes, we'll
We're gonna
Thank you.
transition. I think we'll put the program in Jason's hand.
Tuesday, please.
I'm saying? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, everybody, one more round of applause for Daryl Davis.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I'm just coming up to show you the Universal Language Room. And, and Shoshana and Felicia, you can stay. Please stay. Yeah, stay. I'm sorry. Yeah, please stay. Yeah, absolutely. As we just want to thank everyone for coming out on a Sunday and being here at the University of Memphis. I want to thank a couple people as we go into part 2. I want to thank Sam and Pat Chaffetz, Lenny and Sarah Plutitsa, Stephen and Gwen Wachtel for their sponsorship today. If we can give them a round of applause. Thank you very, very much. And thank you all the friends and family for coming out and people from around Memphis. What we're going to do now, and I thought we might have them stand with us, but is Jan Peterson, Vineet Singer, you come on up. These are our board members from the Bridge Institute. Can we give them a round of applause, please? Is that okay? You can bring the other seat from the back. We just want to show you the Universal Language Room real quickly. This goes on. This is the connection between us and FAIR. And I'll ask them if you can grab the xylophone from in there. Essentially, what we do with the Universal Language Room is I was sitting around looking at the cards that you guys. Everyone have their card that they got from coming in? Okay, everyone have their card? Okay, so on there you'll see a lot of Hebrew. It doesn't make too much sense. And I think we'll just ask if we can have a chair brought out from the back. Yeah, watch that wire. Give us one moment. I think 1 minute. Yeah. And if you can bring some of those thumb pianos over. On those cards, you have 4 Hebrew letters on the front, and they're permutated 24 different ways. This is from a book called Shari Tzedek, The Gate of Righteousness. And it's from about 800 years ago. And I was looking at it, and this is all based on the writings of Rabbi Abraham Abulafia. And I would look at it, and I was told it's Jewish meditation, but I didn't really know how. Thank you, Shoshana. I didn't really know how it was Jewish meditation. So I would put it down, and I didn't really understand it. Well, one day I was reading a book by Jerry Bergonzi, a saxophone player, and he says you should take 4 notes and permutate it 24 different ways. And he had the same chart that you have there on your card. And I thought, oh my gosh, is this the code that helps me understand this? And it was. So what I do is when I practice that card that you have in front of you, I do 4 different notes like this. So that was, you could call it A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D, A, B, D, C, or in my case with the card there, Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Aleph, Bet, Dalet, Gimel, and then we can do permutations. So Jan and I practice this a lot since, I don't know, 2019 probably. Okay, so if I would play C, D, E, F, and you start with C. Okay, yeah, C there. Yeah. All right, round of applause for Jan, please. First time performing, right? And do we have one thumb piano for Daryl? Let me see if we have one. Let me get one more thing here. Just give me a moment.
I'm sorry, we just left
Okay.
you out to We're ready to jam. I'm sorry for you. You jam all the
Kalimba
time.
right there. Yeah, you guys can just unzip that.
You jam what was that?
And so if I need, if you could play C, D, E, F on yours. Yep, and I'll respond. And then you can play something different on yours, Jan. Anything you like. Great. And then on kalimba. Perfect. Okay. And Felicia, anything on the bottom scale? Yep. Excellent. Great. And then Shoshana on the chimes. Great. Okay, and so this is the way that I would develop the Universal Language Room where you can talk, and there's really, as Daryl was saying, there's really nothing to disagree about. It's just melodies. And then from there we have conversation. So if I would tell someone, if I point to someone and say, okay, now we're not going to use English, I'm just going to point. So if I point to anything you'd like to do, no rule. Mm-hmm. And then what I learned from Toastmasters is we always give a round of applause for everything. So round of applause. Excellent. And there's just the joy of communication. So if I need just a little audience participation, I just need you to hit your foot and then clap. So. Good. Keep going. And I'll play in time with that. If I need. Perfect. Keep going. Felicia? Excellent. And Shoshana. Excellent. A round of applause, everybody. Thank you. All right, if I could ask the young gentlemen, if you guys want to come up, Jojo and Nadav, you got your guitars? Can you bring them up real quick? Bring them up. This is Jojo and Nadav from our neighborhood over in East Memphis. Teaching them a couple lessons. They're great young guys. And they're just going to play a couple chords and show them how I've taught them this on guitar. And really the ideal for the Universal Language Room is I hope that kids, adults, people of all ages can get together and just use the 4-note permutation and start improvising right away, okay? Okay, welcome, welcome. You guys can stand sort of like behind me over here. Great. Great. Round of applause for them coming up. They had no idea I was going to ask them to do this. I just said bring guitars. Okay, you stick them on? All right. And let me just hear a C chord. Yeah, it's going to travel pretty good out here. Go ahead. Yeah, okay, your C chord. Great. Great, okay. All right, and then if you can show them the 4 notes that we've done together. Any type of 4 notes. Oh, round of applause for that. Is that great? So that's your pentatonic blues scale. That was excellent. Okay, right? And then if you guys can do that with a major scale tour or just that. So we're going to go around with everybody. Now we'll bring up the young people so you can see the next generation doing this. And I'm going to ask everyone to clap one more time. So it's going to be... Good, excellent, great, okay, good. Excellent, okay, keep going, everyone. Almost there. That's it, got it. And now we're all going to play at the same time. We're all going to be in the key C. That's it.
Let's see what happens.
Here we go. Everyone play together. There you go. Okay, big finish. 3, 4, finish. All right, round of applause, everyone. Thank you for participating. Thank you to Nadav and Jojo. That was excellent. Round of applause for Nadav and Jojo. Thank you. So this is the board of the Bridge Institute here with Daryl Davis, and then Shoshana as a host with Felicia Pete. So thank you, everyone. That's part one. Part two, now we're going to have the concert with Naqshon Leap, and you're going to see us apply these principles to the music. So if you give us about 3 minutes to set up. Once again, thanks for coming out. We really appreciate it. Round of applause for you coming out today. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for the participation. Thanks to the board members, Vanit Singh, Jan Peterson, for coming out. Of course, you heard from Daryl Davis. He's going to play with us in just a moment. We're going to do our first set and then bring him on. So he's going to also join us on keyboard. We're really excited about that. And give us a moment to set up, and we'll see you in just one moment. All right, we're almost ready for the start. Give us just one more minute. Son, and that was a melody I had for a long time, and I met a spokeswoman for the Chickasaw people, Adana Brown, and we did an interview with her that Shoshana was hosting. And after the program, I said, I had this song for a long time. Could I gift it to you, and could I name it for your people and the story that we learned about you? So she said, well, send it to me. And I sent it to her. She says, it sounded like you were listening to our traditional chants, and you had joined us in one of our meetings. It's a perfect song, so we're really happy that she enjoyed it so much and we could play this song. Next song is called Universal Language Room. It's the tune that we wrote for the demonstration that you just saw, and we hope you enjoy it.
Universal language room, get together and do what it do. Universal language room, get together and do what it do. Universal language room, get together and do what it do. Universal language room, get together and do what it do. Universal language room, get together and do what it do. Universal language room, get together and do what it do. Universal language room, get together and do what it do. Universal language room, get together and do what it do. Universal language room, get together and do what it do. Universal language room, get together and do what it do. Universal language room, get together and do what it do.
Thank you.
These guys are amazing.
Thank you, everyone. Just give me one moment to fix this amp, and that was Universal Language Room. We'll have a couple more tunes coming up, then we'll bring Daryl out, and we really appreciate you for coming out today.
I just want to let everybody know I'm here for the ice cream. I came here specifically for ice cream. I don't want no money. I want ice cream.
That's better.
Oh, and to sing.
We got the ice cream. Make sure when you leave you get some ice cream tickets from Ben & Jerry's here in East Memphis. And this next song is Beloved Friend or He Cares. Thank you very much. Thank you. This is our song Unity, and if you want, we want you to sing along. The rest of this part of this program is the sing-along, so it's going to be one God, one human family, one world, that's all that I want to see, one love. We know it's the reality, gonna get together, the highest unity. There's a test afterwards for the ice cream. Please study. Just kidding. And so if you can all sing along with us. And we're gonna ask you to sing for this unity song, and we might point the camera at you if you want to wave or stand up, that'd be great, but really the camera's really focused on us. But we want you to sing along if you can, and we hope you enjoy this tune.
Sing together. Unity is so cool. It all gets started with the golden rule. Like going through grades in just one school. Turn it, learn it a little bit faster. We all deserve one divine master. Come together, unify. Together we can touch the sky. The world's at war, what can we do? It's beating, we're pleading for something new. You know, all depends on me and you. We're gonna actualize what's always been true.
One God,
One human family,
one world,
that's all that I wanna see.
one love.
We know it's the reality. We're
Gonna get together the highest unity. We gotta get together the highest unity. One God,
One human family,
one world,
that's all that I wanna see.
one love.
We know it's
The reality, gonna get together the highest unity. Gotta get together the highest unity.
It's more than just scheme here is what we strive for. Strive the world is a dread disease. Takes more to kill than a nuclear freeze. Brothers and sisters, dads and moms, no more hate, we just stop the bombs. Cause at war, what can we do? It's bleeding, we're bleeding for something new. All depends on me and you. We gotta actualize what's always been true.
One God,
One human family,
one world,
that's all that I wanna see.
one love.
We know it's the reality. We're
Gonna get together the highest unity. Gotta get together the highest unity. One God,
One human family,
one world,
that's all that I wanna see.
one love.
We know it's the reality. We're
Gonna get together the highest unity. Gotta get together the highest unity.
Ha. Hey. Unity is so cool. It all gets started in that golden rule, yeah. Like going through grades in just one school. We're all depleted since that. Sing together. One God, one human family,
One world,
together, the highest unity. One world.
All right, if we can ask if everyone could stand up in your seats. There you go. There you go. Stretch out a little bit. All right, clap along. So we say one God, you say one human family. One God.
One human.
One God. One God.
One human.
One God. That's good. One God. One God. One God. One God. Okay, and we say one world. No, you guys say one world, and we'll say that's all that we want to see.
That's all that we want to see. Ready?
One world.
Two,
That's all.
three.
Okay. One world. That's all that I want to see. One world. That's all that I want to see. One world. That's all that I want to see.
One world.
That's all that I want to see.
One world.
That's all that I want to see.
One world.
One world.
One world.
That's all that I want to see. Oh, I wish I could sing like that. Now we say one love. We know it's the reality. One love. We know it's the reality.
That's
We
what
know
it
it's
is.
the reality.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
One love. We know. One love. 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 Let's do the whole thing here. Here it goes. Here. One new family. One love. It's all that I want to see. One love. We know it's the reality. Gonna get together the highest unity. Gotta get together the highest unity. One God. One human family. One world. That's all that I want to see. One love. We know it's the reality. We gotta get together the highest unity. Gotta get together the highest unity. One God. One human family.
One world.
That's all that I want to see. One love. We know it's the reality. Gotta get together the highest unity. That's it. Get together the highest.
One God. One unity. One world. One love. We know it's the reality. We're gonna get together the highest unity. Gotta get together the highest unity. One God. One human family. One world. That's all that I wanna see. One love. We know it's the reality. We're gonna get together the highest unity. Gotta get together the highest unity. One God.
All right, you guys are great. Thank you, thank you. Let's bring up Daryl Davis. We're gonna do a couple more tunes. Ladies and gentlemen, Daryl Davis on piano. Round of applause, please. This next song is a tribute to John Coltrane and his song Love Supreme. And then we're going to finish up with Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu. We really want to thank you once again. Fairforall.org, the Fair Foundation Against Intolerance and Racism. Daryl Davis, Shoshana Sanker, Felicia Pete, our sponsors, Pat and Sam Chaffetz, and Lady and Sarah Plotitsa, and Stephen Gwen Wachtel. And just thank you all for coming out. This beautiful Harris Hall, University of Memphis. This is the first one, and as people learn about this, you can say, I was at the first one. And I remember I could see some empty seats. There were only 2 or 3 empty seats at the time, but it was just great, and I saw everything. I saw the whole thing come together. We're going to do this a lot more, and we've got a lot of interest. So really, thanks for coming here for the first one, not knowing really what you're getting into, and we really appreciate everyone taking the leap, like Naqshon's leap, to come out and be with us. So thanks again. This is a Doan alum. Let me just check my volume here. There we go, and I hope you enjoy this. We're gonna feature Stephen Wachtel, and round of applause for Stephen. And I just want to thank one more person, David Silverman, for helping out. David, thank you very much. Jojo Artistani and Nadav Lowell, thanks for helping out. You guys were great. Really appreciate it. And hope you enjoy this tune. much. We're going to do one more of our tunes, and we're going to get a blues song in as a tribute to Memphis and the blues and Daryl Davis. So this is going to be Odia Vo Shalom Aleinu, taken from Parliament Funkadelic. Sounds like my amp's about to take off. Give me 1 second.
I mean, he was always about the spaceship, so.
Yeah, this is for P-Fun. Lay the roof on, we're gonna lay the roof on the sukkah. Lay the roof on the sukkah. Lay the roof on, we're gonna lay the roof on the sukkah. Lay the roof on the sukkah. Lay the roof on, we're gonna lay the roof on the sukkah. Lay the roof on the sukkah. Lay the roof on, we're gonna lay the roof on the sukkah. Lay the roof on the sukkah.
You've got a real type of thing going down,
Getting down, there's a whole lot of shalom going round.
You've got a real type of thing going down,
Getting down,
there's a whole lot of shallow going round.
Shalom, lay the roof on. We're gonna lay the roof on the sucker. Lay the roof on the sucker. Lay the roof on. We're gonna lay the roof on the sucker. Lay the roof on the sucker. Lay the roof on. We're gonna lay the roof on the sucker. Lay the roof on the sucker. Lay the roof on another sucker. Gonna lay the roof on. Lay the roof on the sucker. Yeah. Lay the roof on. We're gonna lay the roof on the sucker. Lay the roof on the sucker. Lay the roof on another sucker. Gonna lay the roof on. Lay the roof on the sucker. Lay the roof on. We're gonna lay the roof on the sucker. Lay the roof on the sucker. Lay the roof on another sucker. Gonna lay the roof on. Yeah. Lay the roof on. We're gonna lay the roof on the sucker. Lay the roof on the sucker. Lay the roof on another sucker. Gonna lay the roof on. The band, Eric Stone on vocals. Ladies and gentlemen, Eric Stone. Stephen Wachtel on the saxophone. Cecil McDaniel on the bass. Daryl Davis on piano. Terry Saffold on the drums. Rasheen Webb on keyboard. Myself, Jason Kaplan on guitar. Thank you so much for coming out. We're going to sing one more time, then we're going to do a blues song. coming out. Had a great time. That's the way to finish the show. That's the way to finish the show. Thank you, everybody. Daryl Davis, Bridge Institute, Fair for All. Try to take the human pledge. Hang around for some ice cream passes when you're going out. And we really thank you all. Hang around, stick around, talk to us, take some pictures together. We really thank you. Round of applause, everybody. You were all terrific. We really thank you very much. One God, one human family, one love. Let's let it start here and radiate out across the world.